Alright, here's another one of these. Everything that I've ever finished in terms of anime. Um, I don't want this to go too long. So Fooly Cooly, Fooly Cooly is crazy. I always use the term bombastic for this. It's a 6 episode OVA done by Gainax back in the day. Um, Craziness, a lot of deep stuff hidden behind a wall of like what the fuck is going on. I know some people that love this and some people that hate this, and I feel like more people probably love it than hate it. I think it's pretty good for what it is. I've seen it several times just because it's so short. Yeah, but I recommend giving it at least a try. I don't think it's the greatest thing out there, but it's far better than the sequels that it's getting now, or whatever the hell you want to call those. Full Metal Alchemist and Brotherhood, I already have like videos on. I already had a video on Full Metal Alchemist. You can go check that out. I don't want to double dip here. I like it a lot. There you go. I like all of it besides the movies. The movies kind of blow. Uh, Galaforce 1. I watched this in Discord with Bob Samurai, I think, and Warp Bait and a whole bunch of people from the Discord chat, and it's not very good. I don't know anything about the Galaforce stuff. This is the first one, and it didn't make me want to watch anything else. It's like weird space stuff with like I think like an all girl cast, and then like one of them gets like magically alien pregnant. I don't know. It's weird. Um, Ghost in the Shell, the original film, one of the better anime films of all time, in my opinion. I like it better than the standalone complex series. I think it's not that that series is bad, but I think this is just it's visually stunning. It's got a cool story going on. It's quick and concise and really makes you think about the world. Big fan of the original Ghost in the Shell. Standalone complex and second gig. We'll just go right to second gig. I like season two better than season one, but so this is basically like the same. Like this is the world of the original movie adapted into a 2 season show, and it's kind of split for me because I love it and I kind of hate it at the same time because it does like the weird episodic nature thing in like half of its episodes, or at least like a portion of its episodes, and then it has overarching plots in the rest of it. And I never found any of like the one-off episodes like I mean some of them are entertaining, but like and I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to like explore the world, but like I kind of liked like the plot of the Laughing Man in season one and of Kuze in season two. It has some of the best antagonists of any show, and a really cool main cast. It's just some episodes are really boring. Like there's one episode where like they're in a chat room and it's literally just people talking for 20 minutes about like politics and stuff, and it's that episode's really bad, but the rest of it's really good. Goku Koku no Brynhilder. One of the names I'm happy to be able to pronounce in Japanese. This is Brynhilder in the Darkness. This is by Lin Okamoto, the same mangaka or author or whatever as Elfen Lied. And if you know anything about Elfen Lied, you know it gets kind of weird at times, and this anime does that as well. It's got a lot of weird sexual tension going on with like gore and like cute little anime girls and weird powers, and cute anime girls having destructive powers. It's got a really cool second OP by oh my god, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, I believe is the band. It's one of my favorite OPs of all time. But the show is not great. It's pretty average. Tells the story like far too quickly, I feel like, and kind of just delves into characters that you don't care about that much, and the main guy is not that cool either. Guilty Crown. I call this a beautiful massacre. This is aesthetically one of the coolest anime of all time. It's visually gorgeous. courtesy of I believe Production IG, yeah. And it's got a great soundtrack. It's got a wonderful OP, two wonderful OPs, I believe. I tend to like the first one better. It's got a just really cool music all around. Pretty solid dub cast in this as well. But everything, and then it should have been great because it's also got, I believe it's directed by, hold on, Tetsuo Araki, who is famous for, like, Death Note, I believe, and Titan? Attack on Titan? And so this show should be great on paper. It's fucking not good. I know I have it as a 7 out of 10, but that's because when I first watched this, I was really, really, really way more about aesthetic than story. And that's what this is. This is just pretty beautiful hot garbage because the story doesn't really make any sense. It's kind of all over the place. The characters aren't that interesting at all. The world isn't that interesting at all. There's like it goes like 90 miles an hour and then slows down to a crawl. It's just it's character motivations all over the place. Yeah, it's just not a great show, but it's really, really visually stunning. Gungrave. I'm surprised I haven't actually done a video about this, but I've talked about this anime a lot. It is one of my favorite shows of all time. I think it's one of the most underrated shows of all time. It's done by the same character designer as Trigun, Yasuhiro Naitao. It's based upon a video game for the PS2, and then I think they made another video game as well. So I think there's 2 games, 1 anime, 26 episodes. It's a really cool story that... It's one of these shows though that like I would argue don't drop it if you don't like episode 1, because episode 1 of Gungrave is pretty shitty. It takes place like towards like the end of the show, and it really, you could just start the show at episode 2 and it's way better, because I've watched this show several times and I've watched it while watching episode 1 and skipping episode 1, and you really don't need that first episode. They try and do this weird thing where they show you what's going on in the future and then backtrack till we get there, and it really didn't need to do that. It could have just started out with where they are in episode 2. But it's a cool gangster shoot 'em up revenge kind of story about these 2 guys from like the slums who literally have nothing and then join like a mafia family, and then slowly but surely gain everything. And it just shows how like power can change people, how power can corrupt people, how having vast influence can change you. And that's like half of the show. The other half of it is a kind of weird sci-fi thing going on, and I know that's where it loses a lot of people, but I really, really, really liked it. It's one of my favorite shows. It's got a great English dub. But yeah, this sort of thing is super like my cup of tea. But I get it if it's not like necessarily for everybody. But I always argue it's far better than Trigun. This is Battle Angelita or Gundam. I don't know why it's called that originally. This is a 2-episode OVA that I actually watched quite recently. Thinking about making a video about it. I don't know. Really, really cool looking OVA. They're going to be doing a like live action CG video movie of this pretty soon, and a lot of people are freaking out because the main character in the upcoming movie kind of looks weird because they animated her eye. She has like a CG face or something. I don't know. It does look weird, but this does not look weird. This is a beautiful OVA. It's got some really cool actions about this like cyborg girl who's kind of trying to find her own identity, and she's realizing how powerful she really is, and there's a lot of like crappy cybernetically enhanced humans in the world who are doing some pretty fucked up stuff, and she's there to stop it. And it's a lengthy manga as far as I know, and this doesn't cover a whole lot of it. It makes me kind of really want to check out the manga. I've also heard that the manga art is awesome. So maybe I will, but I definitely recommend checking out the OVA. You can watch it on YouTube. Gyo! Oh my god, Gyo. The story I have watching this is far more entertaining than the actual movie itself. So this is a Junji Ito manga adaptation. Is Junji Ito is a famous like horror manga guy. Did Uzumaki and this, and he's really good. This movie had potential to be good, or this OVA, whatever it counts itself as. But it's just like way too ridiculous for me. It's about like these like farting fish monsters. And maybe if you're somebody that's into like Sharknado or like just like crazy apocalypsy weird sci-fi twisty kind of movies, like sci-fi originals, you'll like this. But I'm really not into that. It comes across as like funny sometimes, and it's got some really weird looking fish monsters. But yeah, I just didn't find it that interesting. The funniest aspect of this, I won't say names, but I watched this with two of my friends in college, and um, one of one of them got like was I believe was pretty drunk when we were watching it, and then he he just passed out in the middle of watching it, and it was just pretty. So I can't think of Gyo without thinking of that dude passing out. Um, Hibari Renmei, another show that I watched very recently. This is a 13 episode show. Is it directed or written by him? Sorry. It's directed by Takahiro Omori and Tomokazu Tokoro, but I believe it's written by, oh my god, Yoshitoshi Abe. And Abe is, he's another guy that worked on Serial Experiments Lane. The characters in this show look a lot like people from Lane. And it's this really intriguing setting where it's like seemingly like a purgatory sort of world where people, the main character is like this being called a Haibane, which they come out of cocoons and they have no memory of their previous life besides this like whatever they were dreaming about before waking up in this cocoon. And they hatch out of the cocoon, and then like within like a day or so they grow these wings in this like very like gruesome manner. The first episode actually has this really cool scene where the main character, Raka, I believe her name is, she grows her wings and there's like blood and stuff, and it's like it's a really, and the camera doesn't really like pull away from much, like it shows you like what's going on, and it's painful for her and it's painful to watch. And but they basically become these these otherworldly beings. I mean, they can't fly. They have these wings, and then they're given a manufactured halo that they make. It's a really weird world because there's humans, there's the Haibane, and then there's also this like other class of people that sort of like make the rules for the world. And it's very intriguing. I don't want to spoil much of it because it's so short, but it's the kind of show that makes you like ask a lot of questions, and you might not get like all the answers that you want, but it's still a good ride. I enjoyed the second half of this far better than the first. It starts off as sort of like a slice of life, like campy, like because the Haibane have to perform like jobs in their world. It's like one of their rules. So like it's a lot about like how they're interacting in society and getting their jobs done, and it's kind of just like cute girls working in a bakery or working at a clothing store or like wherever. But then it starts to develop an actual plot like later on, and I like it far better toward the end. High School of the Dead. Sorry. This show I'm not as big on as other people are. Rest in peace to the original mangaka of this. It's alright for what it is. It's kind of like like I said, like your sci-fi original type of thing. It's a zombie story with high schoolers with some high school drama and an overabundance of fan service. And I'm not that big into fan service, or zombie movies for that matter. So it's kind of a swing and a miss for me. But it also doesn't tell a complete story. You'd have to go to the manga for that. It kind of just like ends, and then like you kind of want more, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It's got some cool like gun scenes and sword scenes and shit, and if you like fan service, you'll like it. That's for sure. Higurashi When They Cry. This is probably one that's gonna make people mad at me because I really did not like the show. I only watched season 1, and somebody's gonna comment down below like you're not gonna understand it until you see season 2. But I don't want to see anymore. This is just like moe-looking girls murdering each other and other people in their town. It's this weird. I'll give it this. It's got a crazy premise in that it's a horror story that rewinds itself and like goes back to like there'll be an episode or like a group of maybe 4 episodes or so where these horrible events happen and people die off and people are murdered, and then you find out like who did it and like why and stuff. But then it resets like in episode like 5 or something, and none of that has happened. And then different murders happen and there's different motivation and it's still horrible and kind of creepy and stuff like that. It's got some creepiness to it. I don't find it as creepy as some people do because I'm just like I'm not that scared of these characters. And, like, I get the contrast that they're going for. Like, they have these cutesy characters doing horrible things. But it doesn't... I don't know. It didn't resonate with me. I was more, like, happy when I saw these stupid-looking characters die than I was sad. I don't know. Voices of a Distant Star. This is the first thing done by Makoto Shinkai in the animation world. He's famous for Your Name and Garden of Words and 5 centimeters per second, and I really love him as a director. This thing is not that great, except for the story behind it is that he did this basically all by himself, like on like a laptop, and he voices the main dude, and his girlfriend voices the girl, and it's a love story about a guy. The girl gets recruited into this like space military, and she has to go flying off in like a mech far away from the planet. And they're trying to keep in touch with each other, but they are literally being separated by time and space. And if you're not into Shinkai stuff, you're not going to be into this. If you are, it's kind of a cool look at his like beginnings. I think it's worth a watch once. It's like 25 minutes long, so it doesn't look nearly as good as like Comics Wave's other stuff, but that's kind of to be expected. It was done by one dude. It looks really good for something that was done by one dude. Speaking of Makoto Shinkai, this is Children Who Chase Lost Voices. This is where I think this movie is better than some other people. This is kind of like his like weird attempt at like an homage, I think, to Ghibli films, because it's got the Comics Wave like aesthetic. Like everything like looks really good, and I remember the music being cool, and the world itself and the backgrounds are all gorgeous. Similar to a Ghibli movie, but obviously like a slightly different style. But the story itself is very Ghibli. It's like this like fantasy realm with like the main character gets like led into this fantasy realm where she has to like do something to meet like a certain goal, and she like learns a lot about herself along the way and about like people around her and stuff. If you're into Ghibli stuff, you probably actually won't like this because I feel like it's too different for Ghibli people. I feel like this movie is in a weird nook because Ghibli people probably won't like it, but Shinkai people that are dedicated to like his stuff probably won't like it either because it's pretty different. I'm in like the middle. I think it's pretty good. Like I gave it like an 8 out of 10. It's probably maybe like a 7. I don't know, but it's an alright story. It's not something that I would rewatch like a million times, but I like it better than some Ghibli movies I've seen. It's even better than one of the Shinkai. It's even better than some of the Shinkai movies actually that I've seen. But it's nowhere near as good as Your Name or 5 centimeters or some of his other stuff. It's a very middle of the road work for him. I do appreciate that he tried to do like something different with this, but I don't know. I feel like he should probably just stick to his guns of what he's like really good at. But who am I? The guy's made like the most popular anime movie of all time. Who am I to tell him anything? Hotorubi no Mori I have a review of. Land of the Lustrous I have a review of. The last one I'll talk about here is Howl's Moving Castle. This is one of my favorite Ghibli films. Shout out to my friend Death Plaque, who was the one who was always recommending this to me, uh, saying that I would really like it. And I didn't watch it for a long time, and then I finally got it on Blu-ray or DVD, and then I checked it out, and I like texted him immediately. I was like, "This is an awesome, awesome movie." I still like Mononoke more, but this movie is awesome. It's got like really awesome characters, a really solid dub, a really interesting world, and like cool magic to the world. And I love like the background art and like the whole thing, the castle, and like the story of Sophie. And Sophie as a character is one of my favorite female characters in anime. Like she has strong will and perseverance, and I think a lot of people would enjoy this movie. And yeah, I really like Howl's Moving Castle. So yeah, we'll continue this next time. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Nia-chan for her kind donation on Patreon. And if you want to join my Patreon, or support me on Patreon, I guess I should say, then there'll be a link down below in the description. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Bye!